What's up, guys? It's Luca here. Today, I got another interview for you guys. It's from a guy named Jason Bergman, who is based out of Pasadena, California, which is Los Angeles, for those that don't know. He works for the agency, so I'm sure you guys know that brokerage. They're famously a part of multiple shows now. The broker himself, Mauricio, has sold hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate, and Jason just has a ton of value to bring. He's been in the industry not a crazy amount of time. He's been about 2.5 years, but he's done an exceptional job just being able to provide a ton of value in such a short amount of time. And it was a great interview, and I'm really looking forward to you guys to seeing it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another real estate podcast. This is Luca with Homes Burrell, and today we're meeting with Jason Bergman. He is with the agency in Pasadena, California. So we got someone a little bit closer to home this time. Thanks for being here, Jason. I appreciate it.
Appreciate having me, Luca. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, honestly, the reason I do this a lot of the time is just to be able to get to know different agents in different areas and see how they became successful from start to where they are today.
Love
And
it.
just because I'm a newer agent, I've only been in the industry for about a year and some change, basically. So I love talking to people that have been into the industry for a while to be able to learn from their mistakes and not have to get the same scars that they have on them, and just be able to just avoid them as well. Does that make
Cool.
sense?
Yep. Love it.
Sweet. I mean, so like the way I'd love to start off is I was just looking at your profile on the agency, and we talked a little bit when we were on the phone too of like what your past was, because you were at a different brokerage before the agency. So if you want to just tell me about
Correct.
what brokerage you started with, and then how that how that went for you, and then what brought you to the agency.
Sure. I started out in branded apparel, branded products, apparel manufacturing, and then I went to Compass about 2 years ago. Kind of wanted to change. Didn't realize there's going to be a global pandemic happening at the same time, so that was very interesting. My office basically shut down. All of Compass SoCal shut down for a little while. Came back in the office, utilized, the tools and the people that were there at that point, and then felt like I sort of outgrew it and went over to the agency right around 4th of July weekend, I think is when I started.
Nice. Okay, so
Yeah.
you started there too. And your background sounds really similar to mine too, because I was with Keller Williams for about a year on a team up here in the peninsula, and I was there for a year. Basically, learned how to be an agent, and then moved to a different brokerage just because it was just a better fit for me in general. Just rather than being a big conglomerate, it just felt a little bit more tight knit. You had more of a team environment. I mean, do you feel like that's kind of true for you as well?
Well, a lot of the marketing was ran out of the office I was in, which was kind of fun.
Gotcha.
Um, and I definitely think the service was there, the tools were there at Compass, but going to, the thing about the agency, it's a smaller amount of agents, but it's a higher output per agent for as far as listing price.
Right.
Also had a lot of friends that worked out of this office, and I actually met Mauricio at a Twilight. It's kind of funny. And so he came up to me and said, "How do I turn your black and white into red?" And someone like that has done, you know, a myriad of sales in Southern California. Basically impressed me, and we hung out for 2 or 3 hours, and that was kind of one of the pivotal points of me wanting to come here. My friend Gus is actually a manager here as well. That helped, and I had a couple of friends that worked here, and that just slowly but surely, took about 15 different fancy lunches to get me here. But then after that, I made the switch, and yeah, boutique uh, attention to clients and attention to me as an agent were really important to me. So I think those are some of the things that made it more attractive for me. Um, I think, it's easy to get caught up in splits as an agent. Obviously, any of us could go work for someone like an EXP and make more money somewhere else, but culture is important to answer your question, and people being present is important. And um, being a real estate agent, is being an entrepreneur, which can be very lonely. So I think some people are good at working from home. For me, I would rather work in a with entrepreneurs around me. They're trying to all vying for the same purpose, to help others, change lives, and empower people to buy and sell real estate. So
I get
I've
that.
been having fun here so far.
Nice.
Yeah,
No, that's great to hear. So you mentioned something. Sorry if you see my big forehead. I'm just writing stuff down.
looks good.
You mentioned you mentioned black and white to red is what Mauricio said to you. So can you
Compass versus the agency. Compass was black and white branding, and the agency is red.
got
Yeah,
you, got you. Okay, in the sense of like marketing, can you kind of like
yeah,
explain that a little bit more to me? Because that is it
yeah.
just
So he basically was like, how in a non-direct way, how can I change your colors to my end, which is red.
gotcha, gotcha.
Um, yeah, Mauricio's brand was red, so the agency is very red. Yeah.
Nice. And it was just kind of like what are the needs that you're looking for that will bring you over to this agency, basically.
I mean, he took the time to. It's funny because a lot of agents I've seen that have come on board here, I tell them that story and they're like, "Really? Wow, Mauricio, like, he's very approachable." Um, and obviously, it was impressive from a salesperson's point of view to have someone with that much volume, um, take the time out to just talk to you and ask you questions and really see what you're needing and how he can help. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the vibe that I even watching him on the show. I mean, a lot of the people are trying to like, perform and put a face on a lot of the time, and every time you see him talk, he's just kind of just present more than anything. It's not really about making a show of it. He actually seems very focused on the person themselves, that whoever's in front of him.
Yeah. I mean, I think you just look at his numbers too, and he's a real deal.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
dope.
think respect, being a salesperson and working for someone that knows sales is really important.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So yeah.
So going back to like the beginning of your career, so what would you say is something that now that you've been in the business for what is it now, 3 years, 3
Two and a half
two and
ish.
a half?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
that.
2.5 years
Yeah.
now. What was something that you were when you were beginning a beginner agent that you wish you knew?
Um, Something that I realized was business has not changed the way the business is done. Meaning we have all these platforms. I think people become new agents. They go on Instagram. They're posting stories, and they're on Caravan. I actually do get a good amount of business from Instagram, but I think the process of business with mailing, picking up your telephone, emailing, and all this other stuff really hasn't changed, and that's I think has been the difference for me. And I think I learned that sort of, you become a new agent, you're gonna take the world over by storm, and it takes time. So that's also part of the you know a tried and true business thing is that you can slam some deals, but I think it's a long game, and once in a while you get lucky and I had someone on Instagram email me on a Friday that they wanted to sell their house, and I had a contract on Sunday. That doesn't always happen though. So the buyers right now, buyers seem to be taking less than sellers because you don't have to. The buyers that are out now are serious, the ones that are making offers,
Right,
and you can close quicker. But definitely being a listing agent is a longer term play. So
right.
I learned that.
In the
Yeah.
sense of like for your own business, a longer term play. Is that what you mean by that?
Well, I just think if you're mailing, picking up the phone, if you're doing drips and emails and planning a marketing plan around a neighborhood, specifically, let's talk about a geographic farm.
Yeah,
It's not typically is going to take a little bit longer. So yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And when we were talking on the phone, this kind of leads into that too. When we were talking on the phone a couple weeks ago, you mentioned something about your process that you really liked. You called it fanatical follow up or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So like, kind of walk me through that. What's the deal with it?
Well, I think,
I like the name, by the way. I like the name.
yeah. So taking a step back from fanatical, because it's to me, it's like a two-way thing. So the first is that getting leads for me is not just one way. It's not just one thing. There's a bunch of different ways I think I'm getting them, and going back to what you were saying and what I would, what did I learn, what I do different. It's just if you're putting yourself out there, you're going to get leads in a different way. So that's one thing. And then the other part is having fanatical follow-up. Without fanatical follow-up, your leads do not matter whatsoever. Um, some people you don't know if they want to sell in a week. So if you're not following up fanatically, you're not going to find out. And obviously, you're going to do it in a ethical and a way that's not, you don't want to be too much, right?
I'll put the
But
disclaimer up,
if you
like,
don't, sometimes you don't know. If
sure,
we can't
absolutely,
ask a question, we don't know the answer. And so fanatical follow-up is just constantly, Grant Cardone, Uncle Grant said, I watched a lot of him during the pandemic. One takeaway that I had was he always said to be known in sales. And so if you want to be known, you got to put yourself out there. And fanatical follow-up is part of the process to getting listings. So I think year to date, I'm at 11 deals. Um, I live in an area, luckily, that, some of my transactions are, I closed one today for 805, a condo, but then the last one was 1.6 million. Before that, I was 2.6. So I'm in a really awesome area for
yeah,
fanatical follow-up.
absolutely.
It makes sense for me to
I
do
feel
it.
you on that. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I'm lucky too. Up in the Bay Area, it's pretty
yeah,
simple.
I think obviously you have to work harder if you've got a lower end, farm or area, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And did you find it difficult when you first started to be able to do like putting yourself out there? Because I find when I talk to other agents that are similar in my realm, in the sense of like beginning, they have a real problem with being able to pick up the phone, do the cold calls, or go door knocking, or do the system that actually how I found you was the one where you're sitting on the running path, just handing out waters. I mean,
Yeah.
did you have issues being able to do that when you first started out, or did that kind of come easy to you?
You know what? I've always been kind of like an event guy. I've always driven sales, even if I own my own company or if I was a salesman in the past, by event marketing. And, whether it be at a trade show with a booth or just showing up somewhere and getting involved with their clients, that came easy to me. But I actually did. I should have did it. I should have done it sooner. To be honest with you, I kind of had the idea, um, and then finally, I felt like the season was right. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold, and then I just pulled the trigger and I bought a tablecloth. Um, I think it was tableclothnow.com or something like that. And then I went out and bought some water, and I laid out like, eight of our listings in the office. Not even all of them are mine.
Mhm.
And I posted up for 2 hours and started there. Yeah.
That's sweet. And like when people
And by the way, you can do that. Like I have friends that live at the beach. I'm like, you could literally go to the pier anywhere that if anyone is listening that lives by the beach, you could go to the boardwalk or the strand, whatever you call it, and literally sit there for hours and just talk to people.
yeah,
Conversations is the name of the game, right? So whether you're door knocking, whether you're calling, whether you're just talking to someone, I've heard stories of guys and gals going to grocery stores and just purposely trying to talk to people. Whichever which way you do it doesn't really matter, but you just try to meet that. I try to do at least five conversations a day.
yeah,
That's like my minimum. And if they're new ones, great. Those might take longer, but yeah, I sometimes you can't. In a perfect world, you're just doing it. It's just happening. And people are calling you, you're calling them, and you'll get to a point where people start calling you after a while. If you're doing enough follow up. But I just really try to meet new people and follow up with them as much as I can.
yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And that's the common theme that I've always heard. It's just like number one, put yourself out there and keep in touch. Just those two things, and just it since especially in the beginning, just don't even think about anything else. Don't think about the scaling just yet. Don't think about the assistant that you're going to potentially hire. Think about just getting, unless you have more leads than you can handle, don't think about anything else. That's basically what I've been told, and it seems like
Yeah,
pretty much makes sense.
and so the other thing I did is I started going to this place where people run. The AC just cranked. Can you still hear me well?
Oh yeah, no, we're good. I can
Okay.
hear you.
Um, to sort of prove my thesis, I went out to a farmer's market and literally I got two seller leads in the first 20 minutes I was there.
Jeez.
So I
20.
posted up a little tablecloth with my name on it, my brokerage,
Okay.
waters, and some listings, and yeah, it
And
worked. Like you could
yeah.
literally do it anywhere.
So
Yeah.
did you like so the farmers market was just going on in Pasadena and you were like, you know what? I don't have any appointments today, so I'm just gonna like post up,
I
put my
didn't ask permission. I just went like, yeah.
I love it,
But you
man.
know what I did? This is what's funny. So I actually went across the street on the sidewalk.
Got you.
I didn't, so I didn't really, that's what's cool because I didn't even have to go ask to be there. I just
Right.
rolled up, kind of renegade style, did my thing, and it's people appreciate it. And when it's hot, you would be surprised how things are. I mean, people are so excited and happy. And I don't really talk about sales. I literally just sit there and I say, "Hey, do you want a water?"
Yeah.
That's it.
Maybe the water like that.
And
Yeah.
if they want to talk real estate, they look down, they start talking. If they don't, that's fine.
Hmm. I think that's a good way to put it is like you're not really because I was just about to ask you, do you have a certain script or do you have something that you say each time? It's just
No,
probably
I don't have a script, but what I have gotten good at is getting complete info. So once someone, because what's interesting about fitness, and I think you could probably even do this at a gym. Um, literally do this anywhere. So people by nature want a break,
yeah.
and they'll walk by and they'll be like, "Oh, oh, what's this? Oh, you have some." Sorry, they're singing "Happy Birthday" here.
Whose birthday?
Happy birthday, whoever. I don't know. You can literally. It's just by human nature, people will stop and want to chit chat.
Be curious.
That's kind of what I've found from doing this so many times. And from that point, my goal is to get name, number, email. And what I wasn't doing before, which I learned to do, is get their physical address, even if they're renting,
Mm.
because that's just another way of I want to communicate with them. Um, just in case, I don't know, like going back to it's not just one way or it's not just one thing of how I get my leads or how I take action. I hadn't posted on Instagram. I've done stories, but I haven't posted on there in like 5 months. I've been so busy. I just have not done a post. I was
Right.
doing reels. I think we get caught up in like Instagram and then like, oh my gosh, how many people are liking it? And I need it. Um, I have not posted on there in 5 months, okay? From like this point, maybe six,
Right.
you know, as of right now, September 5th, 2023. So I got this DM I was telling you about on a Friday, the
Mhm.
one that we talked about earlier. She has my number. She has my email. She could have texted me, but her way of communicating with me was a DM through Instagram.
That's so weird.
So it's what's interesting to me is getting everyone's info and
Right.
just knowing. And now I don't really uh, connect with people on social as much client wise because I feel like people try to buy followers and go after your followers, and so I really try to connect with them on a different level.
Yeah.
But there's not one way. You don't know which way they're gonna reply to
Communicate.
you. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it's very interesting to me that I hadn't done it in a post for 5 months and then I get a DM through Instagram.
Well,
But
but you know their number and their email.
they
Like
know they have all my info. Yeah,
that's
they
so
have all my
interesting.
info.
Yeah. It's just like what they felt comfortable with that in that point. Like because they probably
Right.
felt anxious about reaching out to you. It's like, oh, I don't want to bug them because you hear so many things from prospects that they're like, well, I don't want to bug you. I don't know if you're too busy, like this kind of thing. And I'm like, dude, what? No, bring it on. Like, let's go. Like, and
Yeah.
so it's interesting that that's probably she just felt the most comfortable on that platform to be able to send it over
Right.
to rather than
So
like,
anyway, I going
yeah,
back to getting the address too, even if you're a renter,
right,
I want to be able to get you on a drip on my mailing site as well.
right,
So, and then let's go back to the mailing part. Um, the listing I just closed on was an older gal,
mhm,
sweet, awesome woman, and she said, by the way, the reason why, because I had never met her before, she said, I've been getting your letters for 6 months. and I respect the work that you're doing. And I was like, so
It
it's
works.
just, I think as a new, we keep going back to what would I do different and this and that. You just have to like put yourself out there in a bunch of different ways,
Yeah.
be known. Honestly, just that should be like your thesis in life as a new agent is just being known.
Yeah.
Um, and then from there, you're going to get them back, you're going to leads back, you're going to put them back into the world. You're going to, finding them and getting them and reciprocating. And then once you get them on the phone, hey, do you know anyone that wants to buy or sell? And, so there's a lot of ways to get them, but yeah, you just don't know which way they're going to come in. So,
That makes sense. And then when it comes to like actual listings that you have, because I've had it like even only working for like a year and a half, I've had a few stories where it's just like those stressful moments of like I've had like a homeless. I was doing an open house in San Francisco, and had a homeless man like come into the open house, like when there's people walking in and out. And like, have you had
yeah.
any like situations like that where you're like, oh my god, like situations in which you knew that real estate was going to be a weird industry to go into, but you were just like, what the hell is going? What is my life right now? Like,
No, nothing that insane. The only thing that happens down here would happen after COVID when they released the stay-at-home order
yeah.
and they allowed open houses. That was insane. I mean, there was like 80 to 100 people a day for opens. It was insane.
Oh my.
Where after a while, you're like, hey, can you come help me do an open? Someone stands at the front.
Yeah.
Only six people are allowed in. Like that started happening. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah, I heard like COVID was just such a wild time when it like came to real estate. Such a weird time.
Yeah. I have, oh, you know what? I do have one story.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. Okay. So my, my friend's parents had a portfolio and they had this piece of land that they've owned for like, I don't know, 40 years. And he said, hey, you know, would you mind just selling this parcel that we've had forever? I said, no, that's fine. So it's kind of in a cooler part of Los Angeles, and in a area called Montecito Heights, which is kind of sought after. So as it turns out, the whole story is pretty interesting. So we were going to list it at 15 grand or 12 grand. It wasn't really worth much because you
Right.
couldn't really build on it. Uh, they weren't sure. They never went and did their due diligence, but no one had built around them for a while. So we're kind of like, let's just do 12,500, whatever. While we're there, literally, they didn't even know where the land was. Like, they were like, well, we think it's here, but the view of LA is over there and Dodger Stadium's over there. And while we were there, a neighbor, so it was this random dirt path that went down for a few miles. And at the end of it were a few houses, but in between that were parcels.
Okay, gotcha.
So imagine like, and it's kind of turned into a park now because it's been vacant forever. Um, so people kind of just have held on to land there, whatever. They bought it for like $4,500 back in the day,
Super
whatever,
cheap. Yeah.
in like the 80s. So a neighbor comes and he sees me talking to these people and he looks at me and he comes and so 12,500 was kind of our number, right?
Right.
I mean, we were like, I had paper out, we were ready. It was the
Like you're
listing
like
agreement.
right
Yeah,
now.
it was already written out. I was going to do wet ink. So the neighbor comes up and says, I'll give you 50,000 for this parcel right now.
And it's like, wait. You're like, whoa,
We
whoa,
look at each other, we're like,
whoa. Okay.
okay, so it's 49,999. So yeah, there's more to the story to that, but that was kind of funny because I ended up selling it for I think 50 or 52,005. I mean, whatever, it's a little piece of parcel, but it's interesting how prior to that moment we were just gonna,
Yeah,
yeah,
just
they
like
didn't really. I mean, it was something they had never really cared about. They were just like, yeah, just sell it, whatever. But yeah,
yeah.
it worked out.
It was just like always in the portfolio. It's like, you know what, we might as
Yeah,
well get rid of it. But
I
what
mean the crazy thing about land, I don't want to sound like a silly, cliche, but they're not making more of it. And actually,
right.
at some point, someone will probably develop something on there. But it was just interesting that at that moment that happened and the price change, and we ended up selling it for that price like a week later.
How did he even know who you
Because
were?
I was he actually I was like, well, give me proof of funds, this and that. And I kind of left it off market for a few days. And then he ended up not being the buyer. And I sold it to someone else for more. Yeah.
Oh wow! So it wasn't that guy actually didn't end up being the buyer either.
No. So because of him, we raised the price to 49,999, and then I sold it to someone else. Yeah. Something like that. I mean, I might get my pricing off a little bit, but
Well,
yeah.
either way, I mean, like
Yeah.
usually land, I mean, the only experience I have with land is that it's on there for like hundreds and hundreds of days,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
so the
And I
fact that
already
it's
had
only
him
like
prepped.
quick, it
I'm like,
was
it's gonna take longer, it's land takes longer. Yeah.
yeah,
It was
higher
awesome.
days on market. It might take, we might have price change fluctuations or whatever. Yeah, damn,
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, I don't know if you had kept tabs on it, but has that land been developed now?
I haven't checked on it. Yeah, I'm not
Have you?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, that guy had a plan. He was ready to go. He was like waiting for his opportunity for it.
Yeah.
That's real.
I
Okay.
actually yeah, I'm not sure. It had an awesome view of Dodger Stadium down
Yeah.
here, which is cool.
Gotcha.
And you could see the ocean. We're pretty far from the ocean, but you can see just a little glisten of the ocean. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure, but kind of a funny story.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. That made your job easy, I'm sure. Well, cool.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
right at a half hour mark. I mean, like I want to make sure I respect your time. Like, are you good to go? I mean, hey,
Yeah. Anything else? Am I missing something?
that's all the questions I had. I mean, we went through like the whole kit and caboodle with you. So, I mean, yeah, if that's pretty much all the questions I had for you. So, I mean, I appreciate you coming on. This is really nice of you. So, yeah.
I'm
Any
excited for this, and I'm excited for you. And I checked out the other video you did with the door knocking guy. What was his name?
Oh yeah, Ben Stevens. Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy's awesome.
he's cool. Yeah, so Ricky Caruth's cool too. I mean, I honed in on Zero to Diamond with him during COVID as well.
Yeah.
I literally just got my. I mean, so I did commercial in the past years ago, but I really haven't been real estate. I did a flip here and there, but I really wanted to get in the business of real estate. And when him and I chit chatted about my doing my tablecloth, and which is how you found me. But yeah, it's been a fun journey so far. So I'm
That's
excited.
cool. Yeah, and then like that would probably be my last question for you is because since I found you on Ricky Caruth, like how did you find him in the first place anyway? Was it just Instagram?
Some either one of his YouTube videos or a podcast, or I don't recall which way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
But I
cool.
think, what's funny about well, it wasn't funny, but what's interesting about COVID was I felt like I was just yearning for more direction because we were out of office.
Yeah,
And so um, some people went to like guys like Tom Ferry, which is amazing too. But I mean, I wasn't really in that realtor mindset of like listening to a Tom Ferry every day or a Mike Ferry or all these, great coaches. So I think finding these little gems between, with someone like Ricky Caruth was pretty awesome. So,
no, I love watching his stuff and his attitude, his energy. He's always moving around and stuff
oh
like
yeah, he's so
that.
cool.
Man, I love it. I think
Yeah.
it's
And then I DM'd him. So my first deal, this is kind of where, we talked before, but I did the park for 2 weeks. My second weekend, I'm at a buyer. 30 days later, I closed on a $2.5 million property.
oh my god.
So then Rick and I had kind of went back and forth on Messenger, and then that's how he kind of talked about it. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But I
Gotcha.
mean, it doesn't always happen like that.
No, but it's
And for that price point. But
well, it's
like I said, if someone really, if you want leads, go to your farmer's market, go to the beach, go to your church, go to a grocery store. You can literally buy a tablecloth, give some water out, and it'll work.
yeah.
Coffee, anything. I mean, whatever something of value, and just nonchalantly chat about real estate when it comes up, and
I
that's
get
it.
you.
And
Yeah.
just get the lead and go from there.
No, I think that's great. Yeah, it just depends whether it's hot or cold, basically.
Totally. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, man.
Well,
Well,
thank you so much.
yeah, thank you again, Jason, for doing this. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I'm sure we'll stay in touch. But yeah, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon then.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
All right, see you,
All
man.
right. Bye bye.